Today we're looking at cuneiform. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer World History. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Also, don't forget to check out dailybellringer.com where you'll find more resources that go with many of the Bellringer videos. One of the fundamental traits of all societies is a method of writing. Writing is something we sometimes in modern days take for granted and don't appreciate. But if not for writing, much of world history would be lost, stories would not be written down, and most other forms of communication from texting to emails would never take place. But where did writing first begin and why? The answer to this question can be found in ancient Mesopotamia, sometimes referred to as the Fertile Crescent or Cradle of Civilization. Cuneiform is the earliest known form of writing, which was developed sometime around 3500 BC in Sumer, which is located at the southern end of Mesopotamia. Cuneiform consisted of over 500 symbols that represented different words and sounds. It was written into soft clay tablets using a stylus or writing instrument that would make wedge shapes and lines. In fact, the word cuneiform is based on the Latin term cunis, meaning wedge. The soft clay tablets would then be baked or dried out in the sun. All of the major civilizations of ancient Mesopotamia, from the Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians, used some form of cuneiform. For over 2,000 years, cuneiform was the dominant writing system of the region, being used from 3500 BC until 100 BC, when other more alphabet-based writing systems were introduced. Although in later years literature and history were recorded using cuneiform, the earliest writings strictly dealt with records of trade and the surplus of food. So for example, many early cuneiform tablets list the number of sheep or cattle traded for a certain amount of grain. Many early tablets were sealed in clay envelopes and could be basically interpreted as being receipts, informing one person of the items being shipped and the person receiving the shipment being able to check the tablet to make sure they had received everything promised. Yet another example is this cuneiform tablet dating back to 3000 BC, found at the ancient city site of Uruk in present-day Iraq, and it describes the rations of beer for citizens of the city. For many years, more advanced writings were not developed, since keeping records of food and trade merely required basic numbers and names. But later, the writing became more sophisticated, and cuneiform writings began to be made on astronomy, mathematics, religious beliefs, and the achievements of the civilizations. Somewhere between 2900 BC to 2300 BC, schools began to be established to train people known as scribes in writing. These schools were called edubas, or House of Tablets. By somewhere near 2100 BC, one of the first known works of literature was written in cuneiform, known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh is an epic poem describing the life and adventures of Gilgamesh, a king of the city-state of Uruk, who was also considered to be part god by the people of Sumeria. Still to this day, stories and themes from the epic poem still influence literature and art. Beyond literature, cuneiform tablets record the actions of civilizations and allow historians today to understand who was in power during different time periods of ancient Mesopotamia. In total, over 500,000 cuneiform tablets have been found by archaeologists and scholars. In fact, over 20,000 cuneiform tablets were discovered as recently as 1933 in Iran. But for many years, cuneiform was a dead language, or in other words, no one knew how to decipher or interpret the symbols since no one had used it for many, many years. It was not until the early to mid-1800s that scholars were able to decipher Persian cuneiform. From there, they were able to use that translation to translate older cuneiform tablets and writings. But still to this day, there are certain cuneiform writings that have not been fully translated, and scholars are still working to decipher those writings. Cuneiform established a standard method for people to communicate, share their ideas, and record their history. Many inventions and innovations can be credited to the people of ancient Mesopotamia, from the wheel, measurements of time, and achievements in mathematics. Yet arguably none are as significant or have had more of an impact on world history than the invention of writing. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.